At just 9 years old, Princess Charlotte stunned everyone with an act of pure compassion. During a school trip to a modest London shelter, she quietly befriended a homeless girl named Isella. No cameras, no fanfare, just a heartfelt connection. While most children rushed by, Charlotte noticed the girl sitting alone with a worn book and chose to sit beside her. They talked not about status, but about stories, dogs, and dreams. What followed was extraordinary. Charlotte brought her new friend home. Kate Middleton's raw, emotional reaction left royal staff and the press in silence. That day inside the palace became more than just a royal moment. It became a powerful reminder of empathy, friendship, and the strength found in quiet acts of kindness. What began as a simple conversation would challenge centuries of tradition, bringing light and hope where it was least expected, and reminding everyone that true connection knows no boundaries, not even royal ones. That special moment with Isla was only the beginning. What surprises await at the palace? A heartwarming journey unfolds, one that could reshape royal traditions forever. Let's discover what happens next. Little letter, big change. That evening, as the royal family gathered around the long polished dining table in Kensington Palace, the air was filled with quiet conversation and the soft clinking of silverware. But one person at the table wasn't saying much. Princess Charlotte, usually full of energy and stories about her day, sat in thoughtful silence, gently pushing her peas around her plate. Her mind wasn't at the dinner table. It was still at the shelter, with Isa. Kate, ever the observant mother, noticed immediately. "Is everything all right, darling?" she asked gently, setting down her fork. William leaned in, curious now too. Charlotte looked up with wide eyes full of something deeper than her age. "There was a girl at the shelter today," she said. "Her name's Eel. She's kind and she's brave. But she doesn't have a home. She didn't cry. She didn't plead. She simply asked if Eel could come over just for tea, maybe to play in the garden just once, like a regular friend." There were no grand ideas, no talk of cameras or charity headlines. Just the soft, sincere request of a child who had seen something the royal walls could never protect her from, the reality of another child's struggle. Kate paused, taking a breath. Then slowly she nodded. "That's a very kind idea," she said. And with that simple act of agreement, something shifted. An invisible wall, one built over centuries of tradition and social division, started to crack. The next morning, Charlotte wrote a note in her neatest handwriting. It was full of sweet spelling mistakes, childlike honesty, and unfiltered kindness. "Dear Isla, I liked meeting you. I told Mommy about you. Would you like to come for tea? We have dogs. Your friend, Charlotte." Later that week, Charlotte and Kate returned to the shelter, not with photographers, not with press coverage, but with hearts wide open. They met Isa and her mother Amanda, a former librarian who had lost her job after falling ill. Her calm dignity and quiet strength stayed with Kate long after they left. "I'd love to help," Kate said softly but with meaning. 2 weeks later, Ela arrived at Kensington Palace. She wore a donated dress, a little too long, and shoes borrowed from a local charity box. But her head was held high. "Just be yourself," her mother had told her. And that's exactly what she did. Charlotte met her at the door. No curtsies. No formalities. Just a hug. The palace had tried to keep the visit secret, but whispers turned to headlines. Some called it bold, others reckless. Advisors warned Kate to retreat. She didn't. "We don't hide kindness," she said firmly. Soon after, a statement was released. "Every child deserves dignity, safety, and the chance to thrive. We are proud that Princess Charlotte responded with compassion and empathy." Princess Charlotte's gentle gesture proved that empathy knows no rank and compassion has no title. So now let's uncover what happened next. Breaking boundaries with kindness. From that unforgettable day onward, something remarkable began to change. Not only in Princess Charlotte's world or Isa's, but in the hearts of everyone who heard their story and saw what real royalty could truly mean. This story didn't explode in the news with scandals or flashy headlines. Instead, it traveled quietly and gently, carried on the gentle wings of kindness and warmth. Parents told their children about Charlotte's friendship with Isella. Schools began to talk more openly about kindness, understanding, and seeing beyond differences. Ordinary people, touched by the tale, started helping others in their neighborhoods, showing that small acts could mean a lot. Behind the scenes, real help began to take shape. The Royal Foundation quietly stepped forward, without any fanfare or big announcements, offering practical support. Isla was given a full scholarship to a respected school, something she had only dreamed about before. Her mother Amanda was offered part-time work, which soon became a steady job. Most importantly, they found a safe, steady home, not a palace, not something fancy, but a place where they could truly feel secure and belong. When Isla came back to visit the palace, she no longer felt nervous or out of place. She walked tall and confident, knowing she was truly welcomed. In a small, peaceful room, Charlotte and Isa spent long afternoons painting side by side. They giggled over funny drawings and made colorful friendship bracelets, building memories that were far richer and more meaningful than any royal event. Kate, quietly standing by the door, didn't pause for photos or make a show. Instead, she smiled softly, understanding that something extraordinary had blossomed from something very simple. A kind conversation, a heartfelt note, and a shared cup of tea. As the months passed, the ripple of change grew even stronger. At a private garden party hosted by the palace in the gentle bloom of spring, Isla returned once more, this time walking hand in hand with Charlotte. No cameras were flashing. No formal introductions. Just two girls, simply enjoying each other's company. Charlotte wore a delicate lavender dress, and Isa wore shoes picked from a donation bin. But none of that mattered. Everyone saw what truly counted: a joyful and honest friendship. The guests watched quietly, touched by the genuine connection between the two girls. One youth advocate later said, "This wasn't a show. It wasn't a royal performance. Charlotte wasn't acting like a princess. She was simply being a friend." And that in the end was the most powerful and surprising thing of all. For centuries, the palace had been a place of strict rules, grand ceremonies, and distance between people. But it had rarely, if ever, seen something as deeply revolutionary as this: a young princess choosing to treat another child not with power or privilege, but with simple equality and kindness. No speeches were given. No royal commands were made. Just a warm, open heart shining quietly behind those palace walls. In the end, not just grand speeches or royal decrees shaped the future, but simple acts of kindness and the courage of a child willing to see another as her equal. So now, let us explore how compassion spoke louder than titles. From unexpected steps to lasting impact, what started as a simple, unplanned visit to a community shelter in London quickly transformed into something far more meaningful and unforgettable. When Kate Middleton arrived unexpectedly with her young daughter Princess Charlotte, they didn't just step into an ordinary building. They stepped into a moment that would mark a powerful turning point. The shelter staff were caught off guard, their eyes widening in surprise at the sight of royalty walking through their doors without warning. But they quickly composed themselves and led Kate and Charlotte to a small, quiet side room. There, sitting side by side, was Amanda, a weary but proud woman, and her young daughter, Isla. Their faces told stories of tough times and challenges faced, yet their spirits remained unbroken and strong. Kate's approach was gentle and genuine. She didn't act like a princess asking for attention or favors. Instead, she came as a mother, deeply touched by something her daughter had experienced. Princess Charlotte had met Isla before during a school visit, and the quiet courage and strength of this young girl had stayed in her heart. Now Kate wanted to meet Isla for herself and understand more about the life behind that brave face. As Amanda began to tell her story, a story filled with the heartbreak of losing a job, battling illness, and slowly falling into the grip of homelessness, Kate listened closely. She didn't react with pity or distance. Instead, she listened with a focused, caring purpose. When Kate finally spoke, her voice was calm but filled with quiet determination. "I want to help." This was no grand promise made from a place of privilege or power. It was a heartfelt offer from one mother to another. Before leaving, Kate gently asked if Isla would like to visit the palace someday, and if Amanda was okay with it. Amanda's eyes filled with tears, her nod almost silent but full of hope. That evening, back at their home, Charlotte could barely keep the excitement in her voice. "She's coming for tea, Mommy," she exclaimed with joy. But neither Kate nor Charlotte could have guessed that this one simple visit would soon grow into a wave of change. Unexpected, powerful, and full of promise for Amanda, Isla, and so many others. What began as a quiet moment between two families was the start of something far bigger. It was a reminder that kindness and attention, even from the most unexpected places, can create ripples that spread far beyond the first meeting. It was a turning point where compassion met action, and a small act of warmth sparked hope for a brighter future. For now, the story remains unfolding. What started as a simple unplanned visit has opened a door, one filled with promise, tension, and the possibility of change. It is time to unveil how a spirited young royal is shaping her path, Princess Charlotte's charming legacy. Throughout a single day filled with smiles, laughter, and quiet moments, it became clear just how close Princess Charlotte is to her mother, the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton. Their bond was impossible to miss, not just in the way they interacted but in the little things. Shared glances, matching smiles, and a natural ease around each other. According to a palace insider who spoke to People magazine for their May 6 cover story, Charlotte is not just Kate's daughter, she's her mirror image. "She's a bit of a mini-me," the source said with affection. That resemblance goes far beyond looks. One trait they both clearly share is a love for sports. The source added that Charlotte, like her athletic mother, is clearly sporty. She's already proving to be a well-rounded athlete, enjoying a wide range of activities like ballet, tap dance, rugby, and soccer. But it's not just her enthusiasm for the games that stands out, it's her behavior. Charlotte is admired for her grace and fairness on the field, even making a habit of congratulating players on the opposing team. It's a sign of good sportsmanship and emotional maturity that's rare in someone so young. Still, Kate isn't the only royal Charlotte reminds people of. Royal biographer Robert Hardman told People that there are glimpses of another strong woman in Charlotte's personality, her great-grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth II. Hardman described Charlotte as having practical common sense, a trait the Queen was well known for. "She's not one to seek the spotlight, but she's solid and responsible," he said, adding that Charlotte's quiet strength echoes the legacy of Her Majesty, who passed away in September 2022 at the age of 96. That same steady presence has been noticed at public events too. While royal duties can be overwhelming for many children, Charlotte appears to be natural. According to a source close to the family, she handles public appearances with impressive poise and confidence. "She's taken to royal events like a duck to water," the source noted. Whether it's walking in processions or attending national celebrations, Charlotte carries herself with a maturity well beyond her years. This composure is paired with a strong sense of self. Another insider described her as quite a strong character, and even said she seems almost wise beyond her years. Despite her young age, Charlotte's presence is already impactful. Whether she's walking beside her brothers at formal events or cheering on her teammates from the sidelines, she's growing up in the spotlight. Yes, but doing so with the heart of a child and the grace of a future leader in Princess Charlotte. We see the best of her lineage, her mother's warmth and love for sport, her great-grandmother's resilience and sense of duty, and a spark all her own. As Charlotte continues to earn her place in the family story, those who watch wonder, what future will she shape, and who will be left behind? Now let us uncover the gentle rebellion taking shape in Charlotte's world, echoes in the corridors. On a rainy Thursday morning, Isa approached the grand entrance of Kensington Palace, not as a royal visitor, but simply as a child. She wore a dress borrowed from her mother and shoes that were far too big for her small feet. Her mother's gentle advice echoed in her mind. Be kind, be grateful, be yourself. When Princess Charlotte greeted her at the door, there were no stiff formalities, no bows or curtsies, just a warm, genuine hug, the kind only little girls give their closest friends. That simple act sent a powerful, quiet message. Titles and status didn't matter here. Inside the palace walls, the two girls were just that. Two children. They ran barefoot through the lush royal gardens, picked daisies from the green lawns, and laughed over silly games only children understand. Kate Middleton, ever watchful but never intrusive, stepped away from the royal spotlight to simply be mom. She brought out snacks herself, creating a space where joy and freedom flourished without the weight of cameras or public eyes. 4 hours, the laughter echoed through the halls, a rare moment of pure innocence within the ancient palace walls. But this peaceful bubble wasn't meant to last. Within days, a member of the royal staff accidentally mentioned ISA's visit during a private dinner. Word spread quickly, and soon the tabloids caught wind of the story. Questions began swirling. Who was ISA? Why had she been invited to the palace? Was this some kind of public relations move? Palace advisors urged caution, worried that this unexpected friendship might backfire. One senior aide warned, "It's a sweet story, but it's also risky." Yet Kate remained calm and firm. "We don't hide kindness," she said simply, with quiet determination. Taking control of the narrative, Kate issued a carefully crafted statement through the Royal Foundation, emphasizing themes of compassion, dignity, and the belief that every child deserves a chance to flourish. Her words struck a chord. Social media exploded with praise and support. Parents everywhere shared stories about how Charlotte's kindness had inspired their children to be more caring and inclusive. But Kate's actions went far beyond words. Behind the scenes, she quietly arranged real help for ISA's family. She secured a scholarship for ISA, found safe housing for her mother Amanda, and helped her explore new job opportunities. When Isella returned to Kensington Palace, it was no longer as a guest or a visitor but as a true friend. The palace's art room became their special refuge, a bright, colorful space filled with crayons, paintbrushes, laughter, and a spirit of equality rarely seen in such grand surroundings. In this unexpected friendship, the palace walls seemed to soften, reminding everyone that even in the most regal places, the simplest acts of kindness hold the greatest power. While smiles and laughter filled the air, whispers began to ripple through the palace corridors, questions rising about what this bond truly meant and how it might reshape the royal narrative. But does this mean their friendship is destined to end? Let's find out. A crownless legacy. As the months rolled by, the story of Ella and Princess Charlotte didn't fade from memory. It quietly grew into something deeper, something real. Away from headlines and royal buzz, ISA's life began to change. She settled into her new school with surprising ease, quickly rising to the top of her class. Her mother Amanda started with part-time work and, before long, found a steady full-time job. Okay guys, can you listen carefully please? The beginning tempo will now go a little bit brighter, yeah. Their home life transformed, not with press coverage or public praise, but with peace. The worry that once hung over them was slowly replaced with something far stronger: stability and quiet pride. Meanwhile, the bond between ISA and Charlotte didn't fade either. If anything, it blossomed. The two girls kept in touch like ordinary friends do: weekend sleepovers, shared snacks, silly games, and secrets whispered under blankets. Some days they'd play in the wide-open gardens of Kensington Palace. Other times, Charlotte would visit ISA's cozy, modest flat. There were no photographers, no royal aides watching closely, just two children living in the moment, connected not by status but by something far more powerful: genuine friendship. Then came the spring charity garden party at Kensington Palace, a formal annual event filled with philanthropists, educators, and prominent community figures. It's usually a polished affair, complete with speeches and smiling photos. But this year, something far more touching stole the spotlight. As the guests mingled among manicured hedges and tables of tea, Charlotte arrived, not alone, but hand in hand with Ella. There was no fanfare, no announcement. Just two girls stepping out onto the palace lawn as equals. One born into royalty, the other once homeless. And yet, in that quiet moment, it was clear they saw no difference between them. The guests noticed, but not because of Ella's past. They were moved by Charlotte's warmth, her comfort, her calm. She wasn't performing kindness. She was simply being kind. A youth advocate in attendance later remarked, "There was no show. Charlotte wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just truly cared." Standing nearby, Kate and Amanda exchanged a glance. Amanda's eyes welled with emotion as she softly said, "She's happy." Kate, with her ever-steady grace, replied, "She deserves to be." From that moment on, no more words were needed. No press releases followed. No photo ops were arranged. The story had already been told, through kindness, through courage, and the quiet choices of a little girl. In a world where images often matter more than actions and titles can define relationships, Charlotte's simple act, inviting her friend for tea, did more than challenge royal tradition. It gently rewrote it, and in standing by her daughter's choice not as a duchess but as a mother. Having been lucky enough to meet some of our country's amazing charities and organizations, Kate Middleton showed the world that some of the most powerful changes don't come from palaces or politics, but from love, friendship, and the quiet courage to do what feels right. So what do you think about Kate Middleton's reaction to Princess Charlotte's action? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.